We are back, and so are Tottenham Hotspur with 3 points against West Ham on Saturday. We'll be talking about that. And also just how significant is the noise coming out of the Lewis family at the moment? Is it our time to get properly excited? All that and more on today's Crowing Cockerel podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Crowing Cockerel podcast, and it's delightful to be back again with you chaps. It's Tom here, and I'm here with Graham.
Hello.
And Mark.
How are we doing? Good to be back after that international break.
In it just, and straight into the weekend's game with West Ham, and, well, couldn't really go on much better, could it?
Was it a game? It was a bit of a stroll, wasn't it?
Kudos to you, because you predicted that we were going to absolutely batter them. I have to say, I raised my eyelids a little bit when you came out with that last week, but it was very comfortable.
I think your words were, wow, when I suggested, I was confident, and in hindsight, I feel, even more smug. But the reason I went with it is because everybody can see that West Ham just aren't very good. So not to have got a decent result there would have been massively disappointing. First 15, 20 minutes, I must admit, I was a little bit nervous. I didn't think we were really dominating the game. I thought we were giving them a bit too much opportunity to get forward. Bowen, I really, really rate as a footballer. And we don't want to be giving space to somebody like Bowen. Why they set up the way they did with Paquetá up front is up to them. But they had that one chance, didn't they? I think once Romero had scored, we really improved. But before we go any further, we need to go over just how bad that decision was. It's so bad, we need to do a Fulham. Did you see what they did? They basically voted their disallowed goal against Chelsea as their goal of the month.
Oh, fair play. That is a boss move. I like that a lot.
So we need to go down that route because it was just so ridiculous. How could you be fouled in the back and then be penalised? It doesn't make any sense at all. And why is it we get penalised for that, where there's a certain other club that's moved from South London to round our corner that has been doing that for 2 years now and is absolutely fine, never gets penalised for it? It's just absolutely shocking. VAR is pointless. And you guys know, we've spoken about it a lot. We haven't mentioned my opinion on the VAR on this pod before, but VAR has not improved anything in football. Get rid. Rubbish.
It's disappointing, really disappointing. But it's the inconsistency as well, isn't it, as you say?
Yeah. I mean, that apparently is a foul, isn't it? And then Van der Ven gets hauled down at the back post, and that's not a foul.
Yeah,
and it's
but every single corner routine is a massive scrum, isn't it? So how can you pick that one bit? Because like you say, yes, it was Walker Peters, wasn't it, that got bumped over or something, but then Van der Ven was getting slammed in the back and everybody was jostling. So yeah, a really disappointing decision.
The whole area was a mosh pit. Yeah. And like you say, Graham, Arsenal got away with that so many times last season. We were bemoaning the fact that Vicario was constantly getting jostled by the defences we were playing up against, and it never got given.
Keep it for fact, keep it for goal line, keep it for offside.
Yeah. I mean, the offside seems to be working a lot better with this semi. That's quicker. Still hate it because you can't celebrate a goal, but at least you can be pretty trusting in the result of that.
We've very much gone off on a tangent.
Should we bring it back to the game then? Because I didn't think West Ham had a sniff after that first 20 minutes or so, and I've got to say that has to be one of Bergval's best games. I felt like he almost ran the game for us, and at 19 years old, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like we said before, isn't it? He's the one that knits it together, and the fact that he can do that at that age is really, really
scary,
encouraging for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the start of the season, I think he could be our player of the season again, and it's really good to see him sort of start the season in this sort of form, getting a goal, getting an assist. I mean, it was a bit of a jammy assist, but he still made the run to get in there.
Yeah,
and made the chance happen.
What I really, really like about him is that he seems to really grow into games. So I've really noticed that he might be quiet for the first 20, but he sort of works out the game and he works out where to be at the right time. And he was struggling a bit I felt, in the first half, because he seemed to be going into Xavi's space a lot. They end up almost on top of each other. And to be fair, it might be Frank saying to him that, you two need to get out of each other's way. But his intelligence to take either instruction on board or to see it himself is really, really encouraging, because he takes sort of ownership. We need players that grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and he seems to be able to do that. And he seems to see opportunity as well. And he works it out, sees where the space is, and he starts playing the first time passes into space and doing things quicker. If we can get him playing like that from minute one, it'll be even better. But he's such a good looking player, isn't he? He looks like he's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Can I just go back as well? Graham obviously predicted the wow scoreline. Now I will put my hands up and say I was Mr. Pessimistic and went for 2-2 because of course they'd had that good result at Forest and we'd lost to Bournemouth, so I was a little bit on the nervous side. But just to back me up a little bit, and I only realised this, I felt West Ham had been one of our bogey sides over the last few years. And actually it came out after the game, I hadn't quite realised, it's been 6 years since we won at West Ham. And actually, Thomas Frank is our first manager since Tim Sherwood back in 2013 to win his first 2 away matches. So maybe it wasn't so strange for me to have that uncertainty. But
yeah, really quite surprised. I always feel like we beat them quite a lot. So I don't feel like they're our bogey team. So Tom, you obviously feel like that's happened, and it has. I'm always surprised when I look back at results and we haven't beaten them, because like Mark was saying at the last pod, I do see it as a derby, but I see it as we have to win every season derby. It's like they're the little brother down the road who's just annoying, so you have to put them in the place, and then we have proper derbies elsewhere where it's a proper game. So I was really surprised that we haven't managed to go to what is not an intimidating place at all.
Not anymore.
On the pitch. I mean, I know a lot of West Ham fans, and they're as anti that place as can be, because it is just not a football stadium at all. Spurs against West Ham at Upton Park was always a god. They're right on top of it. But it's just like you go there and you beat them.
So talking about Bergvall as key midfielder, I think another shout out for Pape Sarr.
Yes.
Another goal. He scored 2 goals in the international break as well. He is starting to become a little bit of a force from that midfield, popping up at crucial times for us. And that definitely was a crucial time. I mean, to get that goal just after half-time like he did, that really gave us a bit of impetus that we were missing in that first half. And he could start becoming really important if he can chip in with, let's say, 10 goals this season. It's really good for someone like him to be getting those goals.
He could really be a little Frank Lampardy type player, couldn't he?
Yeah.
He could be.
I don't. Okay, so I see perhaps Bergvall being our Frank Lampard. I see perhaps, and this is perhaps even a greater compliment, considering how he went in and changed the teams, any team he went to play in. I see him more of a Kante, because the engine he's got to go up and down that pitch and then to pop up with the odd goal. I think he could be our Kante. But the fact he's only 23 as well, he's done so well. We've got the core youth in the middle. And obviously saying before about how we've perhaps lacked that real drive in midfield, that real consistency in midfield. If you've got these players coming up together like Bergvall, like Papsa, like Gray, who's in and around the squad now, it kind of gives you hope for that midfield area.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, lots of promise for the future, but one that we were really excited to bring to the club that was a here and now, get straight into the first team, was Xavi Simons, made his debut from the left. How did we think he got on?
But he got an assist.
Yeah. Well, he seemed comfortable out there. I was expecting perhaps a little bit more trickery, but what I did see of him was that it always seemed to be forward. So the pass that he made, never backwards, always forward or at least progressive. My only disappointment, and I'm being really harsh on him here because it had nothing to do with him, is that I kind of wanted to see him in that 10 position, because that's what we've been talking about, potential replacement for Maddison, creating from that middle area. Because out on the wings, we have that creativity in spades. But when teams just block in and we can't get through them, that's where I wanted to see him. So, no, great first game. Would have been great for him after watching us lose to Bournemouth to come in, first game, first start, assist, essentially a comfortable win. Yeah, great for him to settle in. But I obviously Also, first game, let's see how he does, and ideally, let's see how he does in that number 10 role.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he was tidy, wasn't he? As you say, for a first game, it was okay. Hopefully, he will start to get bedded into the team and become more and more influential as he gets some more games under his belt. You could see he's got quality.
Yeah, there were a few touches, weren't there? You could tell he's got real quality, and he always seemed to have his head up as well.
Yeah.
He was looking for a pass. He carried the ball, but you felt he wanted to find that pass. He obviously didn't. He looked like he hadn't been with the team very long. There were a few moments where it just didn't work because he was trying to lay it off to space. And
so there was the mix-up with Spence, wasn't it? That was the most obvious one, where he played it and then looked around and Spence was 50 yards behind him still.
And I do think there is a bit of an issue with Spence playing on the left side because he is so right-footed. He doesn't open his body up to go outside. And we've got a bit of a problem there in that teams are really focusing on shutting down the right to allow Van de Ven to have the ball because he's not the Pirlo passer that Romero is. Oh my goodness, what a couple of forward passes he played, including the assist. Just incredible.
That assist to Bergvall was ridiculous.
It was absolutely fantastic. But teams know that Romero is that good at finding a pass. Van de Ven isn't poor on the ball, but he's not that player. And when he goes outside, he's paying to a right-footed left back.
The one thing I want to talk about, though, was it was fantastic to see this bench. So against West Ham, we had Bentancur, Danso, Davis, Johnson, Kinski, Kolomoani, Odebear, Udogi, and Richarlison. Now, that's a good bench. That's a bench without Dominic Solanke, Maddison, and Kulusevski. Now, my biggest concern here for Thomas Frank, because he has never had a squad this big before. One of his biggest things is that he's very good at keeping players happy. That's what we heard out of Brentford. That's what we heard from other professionals that have worked with him. But that is a big squad. And you're going to get injuries. But if we get to a point where the majority of the squad is fit, you are going to be leaving first-team players out. And one of my concerns is that you've got great players like Bergvall and Sarr, sort of the younger of the squad, I suppose. Are they going to get dropped for more senior players? And how is Frank going to manage sort of perhaps having to leave senior players out because these players have come in and on form? You've got to keep playing them. I think it's going to be a challenge for him to manage that size of squad if everybody gets sort of close to full fitness.
With the Champions League being as many games as it is now, I think it's less of an issue than it would be if we weren't in Europe. If we weren't in Europe, it would be a real problem because you'd just play your strongest 11, wouldn't you? But, you look at Porro, who played nearly every game last season, but his form went up and down quite a lot because I think one of the reasons, because he had to play every game last season. My expectation would be, with using the fullbacks as the example, where you can rotate those three quite comfortably and quite confidently, can't you? If Porro had needed a rest, nobody would look at a team sheet with Spence playing right back going, oh my goodness, we're really weak now down that right side.
Our biggest issue is how stacked we are with forward-going players now.
But is that an issue? I mean, surely that is a great position to be in.
Look, out of all the problems to have, it's a good problem. This is obviously the inner pessimist coming out again. My thing here is that if that's a big squad to keep happy, and we'll have the competitions to play them all. But are we saying that when Kulusevski comes back, he's not going to be the first team on the team sheet? So is Kulusevski going to be the one that misses out on playing in the Champions? I mean, he's obviously not in the Champions League squad anyway because he's injured. But what I'm saying is, are you now not going to be in the first team as a first team player? And actually, forget that. There will be first team players who were absolute first teamers all last season who may not even get on the bench.
But that's brilliant for Spurs. That is the evolution that we want to see. We want to see players that were nailed on first teamers now not been able to get into the team, because that shows we've progressed. That's absolutely what we need to be seeing at this club.
As long, and like I say, I don't disagree, but as long as Thomas Frank can sort of manage, and he seems to be one of those guys that is very good at getting sort of players on board and getting a good group ethic going. Out of all of the, good problems to have, I think given that's the size of squad he's never managed before, and, there's going to be big games that first team players are going to be missing out on. That I feel like is like a challenge. I'm interested to see how he handles. Before we get too far away from the actual West Ham game, I thought I'd give you. I'm wondering if this could become a new feature. Actually, I'm going to give you Tom's teaser. Post West Ham, obviously it was Bergvall who scored a great goal, great assist, great performance, and obviously we've got Decky as well as another Swede in the team. So I was just going to ask you, before those, who was the last Swede to score for Spurs?
Stefan Everson.
Eric Edman.
And the point goes to Graham.
That thunderbolt against Liverpool. What a goal, what a goal.
There you go.
Well,
you said Stefan Everson was Swedish.
Is he not Swedish?
He's Norwegian.
Damn it.
He's the legend he put his episode to.
I know. Oh, that's disappointing. Oh, well, never mind. So obviously it's been a great start. 3-0, comfortable win, third in the league. So really, we can't complain about that. But the other major thing that's happened since the last episode, Daniel Levy has stepped down. That was obviously breaking news in the last episode. And since then, there's been a number of quotes come out from the Lewis family, and there was a good interview that Vinay did as well. Is it time to get properly excited about what might be coming up in the next few years at Tottenham? I'm just going to read a couple of quotes out that started getting me a little bit giddy. So the Lewis family have said generations of the Lewis family support this special football club, and they want what the fans want: more wins more often. This is why you've seen recent changes, new leadership, and a fresh approach. And then Vinay was saying the Lewis family are really clear. They see their involvement in Tottenham as being long-term. They see their involvement carrying through the generations, and that this is a new era. And we've heard the news about there being new investment. They've been very unequivocal in saying that Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale, that they are going to continue to be involved. We saw members of the Lewis family at the West Ham game. So is this really the start of a new era? Are we about to see something really exciting happen to this club on the pitch?
I mean, we all want it.
Absolutely. We've all wanted it for a long time though, Tom.
So they've said they don't want to sell the club, and they're also saying they're going to put loads of money into it. But I've seen a fair few articles now suggesting that one of the ways you sell your club is by telling everybody you don't want to sell it. So you basically announce to the market that we are the owners of this club and we're going to do loads of business now, and making it very, very obvious what the new structures are and who the people are to talk to and how the sort of the club's been rearranged. So maybe it's true that they're going to throw loads of money at it, but I know there's loads of people out there that have written articles saying that this is also a come and get me for the club being sold.
Wow, you've brought me down so quick. I thought it'd be
the
gentler
pessimist
than that.
is back. So I don't necessarily know how to feel about it because I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like for us to go out and spend a ton of money. I will say this past transfer window, I do feel like that was a shift. The money we spent on Kudus, the money we spent on Simmons, to proper, well-established quality pros. It's been a while since we've done that.
We didn't actually spend a lot of money, did we? Comparatively. If you look at where we are in terms of the net spend, we're quite far down the list because Polina and Kolomoani are both on loan. So they're the four, and then we've obviously Takai from has come in as well for not very much money at all. So the outlay wasn't very big at all. And Romero signed a new contract, but you'd expect him to be probably the highest earner at the club. But we lost our previous highest earner that was Son, and you would expect Xavi and probably Kudus to have come in and be on decent wages.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but we also paid the money for Tel. We also paid the money for Danso. So it's not like we didn't spend money this summer. We haven't seen the club do, for example, what Liverpool have been doing or City been doing. We've never spent 75 million on a player. We've never gone above 100 million for a player. So I don't know what that's like, and I don't know if Tottenham know what that's like. And would they do that in a January transfer window? Would they do that?
No,
So I don't know how.
Think there's any way there'd be a massive change in January.
Exactly. So if we're waiting another 12 months to actually see what this investment looks like, because when people say investment, they're talking about in the squad. then 12 months is a long time, and a lot can change between now and then. So it is exciting, but I'm one of those people that was not a massive Daniel Levy hater. I respected the guy for what he did, and him going, that does leave a bit of uncertainty there. Absolutely. Vinay's really experienced. He's far more personable.
Yes.
And I think it's really interesting to see how this pans out. I'm not sure how much investment we're going to see actually in the playing squad until this time next year.
Yeah. I think from all the things that I've tried to digest since this restructure was put in place, the most sensible explanation that I can see is, at the end of the day, the Lewis family of rugby running Spurs as a business and growing it as a business. Levy has been obviously the figurehead of that to absolutely drive revenues. And what Levy was absolutely fantastic at was building infrastructure, building commerciality. But the fact is that how much more is there to get out of the club from a infrastructure point of view? There's probably nothing else they can do. Now they've building the hotel, they've used all the land that they've got. He's already signed, got the deals with the NFL, with F1 and all that sort of thing. That's all been done. So where Levy could be criticised is his ability to get footballers into the club, and there's talk about the relationship he has with clubs around the world, and certainly within the Premier League, and other teams not wanting to do, or other clubs not wanting to deal with him. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But where I do hang my hat a little bit is that if they are business people and they want to grow revenue, the way that you can now grow revenue through Tottenham Hotspur is to make them more successful, because the revenue from the Champions League is so massive now. The revenue for winning things is much bigger if it's the Premier League and the Champions League, or getting far high up in those competitions. And then, of course, you've now got this ridiculous Club World Cup money machine, which you qualify for that, you've got £100 million. So there's a huge opportunity there of massive amounts of revenue from being decent at football, which they've sort of got to the point where if you're going to keep growing and therefore building value for when they want to sell, you've got to be a better football team and a more consistent football team. So I do see the perspective there, that, and the logic that's why all of a sudden there's this shift, that there's now a really good reason to invest in the team, because that's probably the best return on investment multiplier that they can now see. Because what else? You can't build another new stadium. You can't build another new training ground. You can't build more hotels and things like that. So you've got to get Spurs being given money for being a football team ultimately. So I do think that there is the possibility of us becoming bigger in the market, looking for bigger players, attracting bigger players, and developing that squad. But as we said right at the beginning of today about Sarr and Bergvall, the fact is we might have two of absolutely world-beating players that if we hadn't signed them 2 years ago, we'd be looking at spending 60-70 million pounds on them. Yeah. So I think that what's been done before maybe has been gearing to this as well, because Bergvall especially was seen as a real starlet, wasn't he?
Barcelona were after him as well, weren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. So getting those real quality, and we've got to remember that they went and spent 40 million quid on Archie Gray. And that's pure potential. That was because he was going to be the best thing that's come out of the Championship for years and years and years and years and years. And he might well still be. But that outlay was huge for that player, wasn't it?
To me, it feels like we are in the position that Arsenal were maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And they were buying not top quality. They were buying obviously decent players, and they were growing, and it was this rebuild under Arteta. And then they identified a position, and they identified a top player in Declan Rice, and they went and paid 100 million. They paid top dollar for him out of nothing. And it was like, whoa, okay, that is a signal of an intent. And it's what Liverpool did before that when they bought Van Dijk and they bought Alisson, and they went and identified what would it be to really improve a position, and they went and paid top dollar. That is what I want to see from this change in priority and change in strategy. That's what I'm really looking to see as proof of the noise that's been coming out from the club.
But of course, one of the money-making things is going to start again on Tuesday. So we've got the game at home to kick off our Champions League campaign. And that game, of course, is against Villarreal, Yellow Submarine, which is easier to pronounce for me. They're probably, if you were going to get a Spanish team in the Champions League, I'd suggest that they're sort of the team that you'd want, without being harsh on them and disrespectful, but we're avoiding Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico. Juan Foyth still plays for them, decent centre-back, or turned into a decent centre-back in Spain. And of course, Mano Solomon's gone there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how we play against them, what team we play against them, but I'm pretty confident we're going to get a good result on Tuesday.
Look, we're starting at home, which is massive. I think, we were talking about how strong the bench was. Looks like we came through that game as well without any injuries. They're coming off their last 2 away games, so this is their 3rd away game on the trot, and they got a draw, and actually they lost their last game. So in theory, it should all look like a good opportunity for us to get off to a winning start. And having experienced those sort of European nights at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, that'll be a great atmosphere. Yes, back in the Champions League. Yeah, I can see us doing well there. Are we getting dangerously close to making some sort of prediction?
Yeah, and I think one of the unique selling points of this pod is our completely unsubstantiated opinion on stuff. So I have no idea really how the Yellow Submarines play. Or indeed, whether they are. I assume they're decent because they qualified high enough up the Liga to get into the competition. But I would be very disappointed if we didn't get off to a winning start. I feel that you've got to win your home games given the draw that we've got.
So go on then. Predictions. Mark?
I am going to go, I agree. I think it'll be very disappointing if we didn't get a win. So I am going to go with a 2-0 win. And I think for the scorer, I am going to go with another one for Papa Sarr.
Nice. Graham?
So I am also going to go with I'm going to go with 3-1. So a 2-goal gap, but I just feel that we can't not concede nearly every game. So at some point we'll concede. So let's concede in this one. But we'll be 3. I reckon it'd be a consolation. We'll be 3-0 up, be comfortable. So goal scorer, it's a bit difficult, isn't it? It's because we seem to be so good on set pieces. Romero or Van der Ven seem to be the nailed on scorers at the moment, don't they? And it's but I think he'll bring in Bentancur, and I think Bentancur will score one because he can score off a set piece, but he can also score from open play as well. So I'll go with him as a bit of a left field option.
Okay, Tom?
Well, yeah, I had 2-0 as well, Mark. And the reason for that is I just think we look really solid at the back, and the fact we'll be at home. Yeah, I feel like we should be well set to keep a clean sheet. I'm going to go with Kolo Muani. I think there's every chance Rishi will start, but I also think that Thomas is more than happy to sort of rotate the squad and make the subs he needs to keep the players fresh. I don't think Dom will be ready, and I don't think he'll try tail through the middle again.
No.
So yeah, if it's a solid performance and we're 1-0 up, and he brings on Kolo Muani to knock in a late second, so it ends up being a nice, comfortable start to our Champions League campaign.
All right, and then obviously, so this is our first midweek game. We've got back to the Premier League at the weekend. Tricky tie away to Brighton, although of course they've had a bit of a mixed start this season. They're currently in 13th, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 defeats. How do we think we're going to be getting on away on the south coast at the weekend?
Well, they were really good in their comeback against Man City. I thought Man City were the better team for most of the game, but then whatever happened, they fell apart. I really like Matoma. He's a fantastic player. The manager's good. I think that Brighton is always a good upper mid-table team. They've obviously lost a couple of players again in the summer, but they always find someone else, don't they?
Yeah.
They'll always be patchy. It's difficult because I'd be happy to get out of there with a draw given the last few years when we've gone there. But I really, really feel that with the squad depth we've got, we should be going to Brighton and winning, given the start that we've had as well. So again, I'm going to be positive. It'll be a really, really close game. I think it'll be 2-1 to Spurs, and I think it might be the first game where we have to come from behind.
Interesting. And who do you think is going to be a scorer?
Richarlison, because I think Solanke will be fit, and the best thing for Richarlison is him having decent competition. That focuses his mind. And I think that the way that we're playing at the moment, we're putting a lot of balls in the box, and that he'll be on the end of something.
Tom, Brighton away? What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, I do think we're well set up to play against Brighton. They're quite progressive. They also like a high press, but I kind of feel like we're because we're so defensively solid. I think we've got a good chance of going there and get a result. I think we might concede. And actually, I was thinking, given the midweek game as well, maybe there might be a little bit of rustiness on our side. But I'm hoping this is when we might see Xavi Simons really click into gear. So I'm going to go for 3-2, and I'm going to pick one of my scorers as being someone who has just sort of quietly dropped off the map because of the last game, but Brennan Johnson. He's going to come back, and he's going to be on the score sheet for us. 3-2.
All right, fair enough. Well, Brighton are really strong at home. I really do like Brighton. I think they've got they've got a good team, and so I would be more than content with a point. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, and I'm going to back my favourite Spurs player to get his third goal of the season, which is Van de Ven. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And just whilst we're talking about Spurs and Spurs results and everything, just wanted to give a shout out to the Spurs ladies. 100% start to the season. They've scored 3 goals, not conceded a single goal. And a special shout out as well to Kathinka Tangberg, an amazing 40-yard lob that she scored today against Everton. So great to see the ladies doing well as well. They made a great start, and they've actually got as many clean sheets already this season, the first 2 games, as they managed throughout the whole season last year. So great to see them making a good start, and always good to see Spurs ladies doing
Tottenham
well.
Hotspur should be decent men's side and a decent women's side. No excuses, you know.
Yeah. So they made a great start, and they got Man City on Friday. So good luck to the girls as well.
Yeah, Martin Ho's come in, hasn't he, this season? And I remember, I forget the name of the chap who came in last year, but I remember he was talking very much about trying to align the style of the women's team to the style that Ange was playing.
Yeah, well, they certainly did that today. They played with a really high aggressive press, and that's how that second goal came about. Actually, Beth England was too quick for the centre-back, pressed her into a mistake, and then Tangberg just pinged it straight in over the goalie's head. So it was good. It was a good watch. They struggled against West Ham last week. It wasn't a great performance, but they did really well against Everton, and so it'll be an interesting matchup on Friday against Man City.
So they can keep it up, because they seemed to start well last year, and then it seemed to tail off.
Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle last season.
Yeah, but definitely a stronger start now.
Yeah. And you just mentioned his name. We cannot go without mentioning that Big Ange is back in the game at Nottingham Forest.
I don't like it. It's too soon and it's too close. I'd go get another job in a different country. I still want to cuddle the man. It's not right. I feel very odd about it. Part of me wants him to do well. It'll be really interesting to see what he does there. But for me, I don't want to see him do badly, because we spoke before about all the sort of the Ange flack that came after he got the sack. It felt like the Ange bashing was totally unnecessary given what he did for us. And I hope he doesn't get that at Forest, because he's a thoroughly decent human being. Yeah, I just don't want him to do better than us, but I just don't want him to do bad.
He's already come out with a couple of classics, hasn't he? He's only done a couple of interviews, but I love the stuff that comes out of his mouth. He's back and forth. He's just, the way he comes out with stuff is absolutely brilliant. There's a couple of sound bites already flying around, isn't there? But I don't want Ange to be proven to be as bad as half the Tottenham fan base seem to think he is. But I also don't want him to be proved to be, a decent manager as the other half thinks he is. So I sort of am in the position where I cannot see it working. I cannot see how you can go from a manager like Nuno and the way that they played under him to a manager like Ange. I just don't understand why he's taken that job with that squad makeup. I don't see what benefit is to them, and I hope that Marinakis, it all blows up in his face, because he's just had a tantrum over his manager saying he probably hasn't got the players he needs to play in a European competition as well as the Premier League.
Good to see him back in football, though, but I don't think it was a good move for him. And we'll see. So there we go then. We look forward to our first Champions League game in a little while. I can already hear that famous music belting out, and as the camera parades up and down our lineup. Let's hope we get off to a good start. And again, tricky game at the weekend against Brighton, but lots to talk about in the next episode, I'm sure. Let's hope for 3 points in both competitions, and let's see where we are this time next week. Until then,
come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.